Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of World of Tanks. We have Crotalus cerebrimus or something. I had to look it up. It means sidewinder. In either Latin or Greek, whatever version of language is used right there. He's in his IS on Ruinberg and sent me this replay and said, hey, I've been working on the scroll zoom, right? Of the two ways to get into sniper mode. There's shift and then there's master race scroll zoom. I'm going to set people off with that. They're going to start yelling at me. Comes up to the brawn corner. I like this for a couple reasons. Number one is he was looking at some of the advice that I had, and he's improving with it, which is always good. Watch this snapshot. That was a little scroll zoom and just boonk. And when he sent the note, he said, hey, I'm getting a lot better at this. Had a good game on Ruinberg in my IS. And I said, you know what, let's have an IS game because it's great. A couple of reasons why. It's a tech tree tank. And while I won't say it's an unpopular tank, because clearly it is, a lot of people go through the line and play the IS. I don't think it's a popular tank for people who go through the line and go, ooh, I'm gonna keep this IS and play it a bunch, right? So it's relatively unusual for me to get good replays of IS gameplay. So I like to feature some of those kinds of games as much as I can, rather than like the usual suspects. You know, a Defender game, somebody sends me a Progetto game, somebody sends me another EBR game. Oh my God, so many EBR games get sent to me. And if it's an amazing EBR game, please continue to do so if there's something interesting on it. But I'm just saying, I get a lot of games from tanks that are basically overpowered, right? But here's an IS, which is the tech tree. Of course, there's a IS-2 version next to him right there. Nice shot into the Sherman. Let's just talk about how this has been going, though, while I've been setting all this thing up. He finally gets rid of the T-29. I might have gone to AP-CR a little bit earlier than you did. Took a couple hits doing so. Not bad work with the IS-2. KV-3 did yeoman's work right there. He's going to get a lot less credit than he deserves for holding off this big crowd of people and using his hit points and armor to do so. That's one of those interesting kind of hold actions that's going to sort of break open the game for everybody else, because it allowed you guys to take out their T-29. It allowed it to clear up for the EXPs to kind of start working down here without getting nuked by a T-29. And now you two can turn around and face these guys. T-29 made a big mistake. Had he been over here with this crowd, would have been a much different fight. This is a great spot if the enemy team's bad. Now that you're two and they're four, they should eat you alive. But you've got this dude back here keeping him honest, the T-20 in the corner. So there's at least one thing in your favor right there. Let's get back to the action and watch how you handle this. Watching the scroll zoom, he's been working on that. That was a nice little effort on it right there. He's going to push in this poor T1. While he fires quickly, the side of his armor is not very good, so he's not positioned very well. The KV-3, you know, had they been aggressive, I'm not really sure what they're doing. This guy then turns around. He spent a lot of time putting the side of his tank to everybody and gets lit on fire for his efforts. There's a pretty good scrum going on behind you as well, but it looks like the O1 EXPs are handling those guys, keeping them from coming around and folding around behind you. And this T-20 is still sitting there. He must be sniping these guys. So the T-20 is keeping them from coming too far out. Still, though, he doesn't hit very hard. You guys do, but so do they. Had they all come together, they're in trouble now. It doesn't look like they can do it at this point. Had they all come together and focused you down, then they could have worked on this IS-2. But it's pretty much all over but the shouting for them on the corner, unless somebody makes a big mistake here. The T1, once again, not really paying attention. He gets taken out with a nice little corner. Zoom, scroll, corner shot. Nicely done. So Crotalus, I don't know. C. Old C right here is running the anonymizer. Very interesting. Nice job, little bait of the IS-2. One thing about you seeing somebody zooming in or looking to or focusing you to take a shot, just make some movement. Try to spoil the shot. Don't accept it. As long as you're moving, it makes it more difficult for them. We're going to accept a shot on the turret. The IS-2 goes down. And I thought maybe you should just go around and get around the side of the KV-3 and make sure he dies, kind of like the IS-2 is doing. Although he shoots him on the run. But this was a nice little hand to Stalin snipe. There you go. Nicely done. You knew the weak spot was there. Man, that's a tiny weak spot for that derpy gun. But I'll be danged if you didn't hit that thing. It's all over but the shouting. We have a couple more hand to Stalin shots, though, we need to feature here for you. You know, sometimes when you have a good game, we're at 2,935. RNG just works out for you. That's just basically how it works. You know, the very same game fought the very same way with a little bit of different RNG comes out to a 1900 damage game or some such. But watch this, it's not even zoom. We're just going to take that shot because he's about to get covered up by the building. Not so much. I do support that. The death of Artie is always a fantastic thing. And we're going to get our Pascucci's out of this. We'll just drop one on him. We don't even need to be fully zoomed. We yell Stalin, and down goes the M44, who actually took a shot back and hit our hero. We'll fix the gunner, and we got some more hit points on the board in the form of a 3002D Tier 7 German medium. Of course, he didn't help his team because he's been hanging out up here in the bushes the entire game. Hasn't gone very far from where he started. He's over there hiding out. Gets spotted as the entire team converges on him. We missed that. Didn't really zoom that one all the way in. I think I would have. I talk about that a little bit. Just pause here real quick. At the end of the game, sometimes you will accept those kind of worse, not fully zoomed, large dispersion shots because you think that your team's going to get all the hit points. Based on what's going at him, the size of the tanks, well, the IS-2, those two have pretty big guns, so maybe that's what you were worried about. But I think you had time to zoom in and get that shot. And I thought that when I saw you initially take the snap. Obviously, hindsight says, yeah, you had plenty of time because there's your damage right there. But I really think on that first one, based on how everyone was moving and pushing towards them and the range of shots. But that's one of those judgment calls when you're trying to get those last few hit points on the board. I do that too sometimes. Sometimes I just accept the bigger dispersion shot just in order to have a chance of getting the hit points. So you got to make that judgment call as you're running in there to steal those last hit points. You got another 379 out of it, which brought you up to 3,630, 50 assist, and a nice 780 blocked, which isn't always easy to do in an IS tank. Like I said, the armor is a little bit indifferent. Sometimes it can be pretty fantastic, especially in a game like this, which is a lower tier game. What did you have? There were no 5s in here. Were there 5? There were 5, so you were top tier in a 3-tier game, so you could expect your armor to hold up against some of the lower tiers, but in fact, you actually made it work a couple times against the big boys out there. So I do appreciate you sending that in, man. It was nice to see you working on the scroll zoom, and I hope that does help you out. You know, we've had multiple discussions about this on the channel and down in the comments. I'm not saying shift zoom is bad necessarily. I just consider the scroll thing to be superior overall, and I think they both have their places. I imagine there's probably several players out there who are much better than me that use the shift. So there you go. We'll leave it at that. Even though I can't leave it, all right? Even though I've beat that dead horse, we're going to leave it there, all right? Because this is my video and that's how it works. I say. Well, C, thanks for sending that in. I do appreciate it. It is good to see people play other tanks. One last parting shot before I go. It has become apparent to me in the last years I've done this channel, now that I'm starting to think back on the year and the growth and everything, that there are a bunch of reasons to play this game, and a lot of people have different reasons. And it may be that they like Tier 5, Tier 6. It may be that they're not worried about being the 3,500 win 8 player. That was a little bit of a foreign concept to me, but it is completely apparent at this point. The channel is about your skill now and what your ceiling is, or improving from where you are. But it's not about trying to turn everybody into a 3,500 win 8 player, because not everybody wants to do that, and that's perfectly fine. That's why this game is so cool, though, with the tiering system and the ability to stay wherever it is that you want to stay and still enjoy the game and have great games like this right here in tanks that aren't necessarily the top perfect meta tank, right? We can play all the different tanks. I've enjoyed digging back into some of the tech tree tanks and checking them out. There are a lot of interesting tanks. It's fun to do well in a tank that most people would consider a center of the road kind of tank. There's a lot of reasons, and I've got a much better appreciation for that. And replays like this are fun because, like I said, it's a popular tank in terms of people playing it. I don't think it's necessarily a popular tank in terms of people saying, oh yeah, I'm going to play the IS because I just love playing that so much. All right, that's all I've got, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the support of the channel. If you're looking for other ways to do so, you can find those down in the description, and we will see you.